Franklin Clinton's story in Grand Theft Auto 5 has always been seen as the tale of a man trying to better himself. Someone who wants out of the hood life and into something legitimate. But what's often overlooked is that Franklin's biggest flaw isn't where he came from. It's that he never really knew who he was supposed to become. His entire arc is built around identity, and how chasing success without a purpose can leave someone more lost than when they started. When we first meet Franklin, he's repossessing cars for a corrupt dealership and living with his best friend Lamar in South Los Santos. He's clearly smarter and more ambitious than the people around him, but he's also frustrated. He sees opportunity as something that only other people get, not someone like him. That's what makes his first encounter with Michael DeSanta so important. Franklin doesn't just see Michael as a mentor, he sees him as a glimpse of what he could become. Rich, respected, powerful. But that dream comes with strings, and Franklin never truly realizes that until it's too late. Throughout the game, Franklin slowly transitions from being independent to becoming a tool for others. Michael uses him for jobs. Lester manipulates him for his own gain, and even the FIB ropes him into conflicts he doesn't fully understand. For a man who wanted to be his own boss, Franklin spends most of the game following orders. It's ironic because he starts out criticizing Lamar for staying stuck in the hood, but Franklin himself ends up trapped, just in a more luxurious kind of prison. What makes Franklin's journey even more interesting is how isolated he becomes by the end of GTA V. He's caught between loyalty and ambition, between Lamar, who represents his past, and Michael, who represents his future. The Death Wish ending choice says it all. If you choose to save everyone, Franklin finally breaks free of the system that's been controlling him. Now, but if you choose to kill Trevor or Michael, it shows how far he's drifted, how much he's willing to sacrifice to protect his own version of success. Rockstar never gives us a clear answer, but either way, Franklin ends up losing something that mattered to him. After the events of the story, the little we know about Franklin's life suggests that he becomes wealthy and successful, possibly running a legitimate business. But wealth doesn't necessarily mean peace. The contrast between his huge mansion in Vinewood Hills and the humble streets of Strawberry highlights how disconnected he's become from his roots. He got everything he ever wanted, but maybe at the cost of his own authenticity. In many ways, Franklin represents a modern tragedy. He's the embodiment of the American dream. Work hard, climb up, and you'll make it out. But in Los Santos, success comes with a price. He may have left the hood, but he didn't escape the system. The same corruption that runs the city now runs through him, just dressed in better clothes and driving faster cars. Franklin's story isn't about becoming rich. It's about realizing that power in Los Santos always comes with a leash. And by the time he notices who's holding it, it's already too late. Franklin Clinton is often seen as the young, ambitious dreamer of Grand Theft Auto 5. The guy who wants more out of life than the small-time gangbanging streets of Los Santos. But there's a layer to Franklin's story that most players overlook. He's not just chasing success, he's chasing identity. From the very beginning, Franklin is surrounded by people who define him based on where he comes from. Lamar calls him soft. Denise calls him selfish. And even Simeon uses him as a tool. Everyone tries to tell Franklin who he is, and the entire game is about him figuring that out for himself. When Franklin meets Michael, it's easy to assume he finally finds a mentor, but if you pay attention, their relationship is much deeper and much darker. Michael doesn't just teach Franklin about crime. He teaches him about control, manipulation, and survival in a world where loyalty means nothing. Franklin sees Michael as the kind of man he wants to be, rich, respected, and free. But by the end of the story, Franklin realizes that Michael is just another version of what he's been trying to escape. A man trapped by his past, lying to himself about being happy. Franklin's greatest fear is becoming that. There's also a quiet tragedy in Franklin's rise. He cuts ties with everyone who defines him, but that freedom comes with isolation. When you visit his house after he moves to Vinewood Hills, it feels empty. No family, no Lamar, no Tanisha. He has everything he thought he wanted, yet he's more alone than ever. Rockstar subtly shows this in how his dialogue changes. Early in the game, Franklin talks about dreams, hustle, and making moves. Later, he sounds tired, even detached. He becomes part of the high life, but he's lost the sense of belonging that once grounded him. A major part of Franklin's character arc also deals with morality. Out of the three protagonists, he's the one most capable of change. Trevor is chaos personified, Michael is trapped in denial, but Franklin still has a conscience. That's why the final choice in the game, whether to kill Michael, Trevor, or risk everything to save both, means so much. It's not just a choice about loyalty, it's about identity. Killing either man means repeating their mistakes. Saving both means taking control of his own future, refusing to let anyone else dictate what kind of man he becomes. Franklin's story mirrors Los Santos itself. Flashy, ambitious, but hollow underneath. He climbs to the top only to realize the view isn't what he expected. And that's what makes him one of Rockstar's most human characters. Beneath the cars, money, and missions, he's a young man who wanted to be somebody, only to learn that success can feel just as empty as failure. Grand Theft Auto V may end with Franklin standing tall, but the real question is whether he's truly free or just another product of the city that breaks everyone who chases the dream too hard. Trevor is chaos personified, Michael is trapped in denial, but Franklin still has a conscience. That's why the final choice in the game, whether to kill Michael, Trevor, or risk everything to save both, means so much. It's not just a choice about loyalty, it's about identity. Killing either man means repeating their mistakes. Saving both means taking control of his own future, refusing to let anyone else dictate what kind of man he becomes. Franklin's story mirrors Los Santos itself. Flashy, ambitious, but hollow underneath. He climbs to the top only to realize the view isn't what he expected. And that's what makes him one of Rockstar's most human characters. Beneath the cars, money, and missions, he's a young man who wanted to be somebody, only to learn that success can feel just as empty as failure. Grand Theft Auto V may end with Franklin standing tall, but the real question is whether he's truly free or just another product of the city that breaks everyone who chases the dream too hard.